all the intro just hearing all the introductions, it's really beautiful to hear what each of you do and how each of you do it. And I'm sure there's so much more that you can all say about your unique approach to how you serve and support clients. And I'm excited to get into it today. I know that we have an hour together. I'm a very co-creative person. I really love seeing spaces like this as an energy exchange where we're both, creating the conversation together. So I have some topics and a little outline of what we get to talk about today, but I really encourage you to go into the chat box, just because sometimes it's a little harder with that time frame to open all the mics and be going back and forth. And then, we have a decent sized group. So utilize the chat box. I'm going to ask questions, and I would love if you are as participatory. Is that a full word? Is that a real word? Participatory as possible. My name is Katelyn. I am originally from New York. I now live in Colorado. I'm getting my brains all mixed up because some of you are in California. And Nicole and I live near each other. So yes, definitely coffee. I am also a multi-entrepreneur. I am an author. I've helped co-publish books, which is how I met Helen and Clarissa. And I am a online coach. I have a background, and I actually helped build a wellness center, and I was a private yoga teacher for many moons. So I can relate to you, Rachel, on that piece. And then I started my online coaching practice in 2018. So I've been doing it for quite a bit now. And I focus on helping service-based business owners reclaim their health and their wealth and build a sustainable business. So I blend marketing as well as holistic medicine and holistic approaches such as EFT. Was that Maria? I think you said that. Ayurveda and a number of other things. And really, my mission is to create this movement of nurtured entrepreneurship where we're not self-sacrificing who we are and what our medicine is in the world. We're not self-sacrificing our time with our families and our friends in order to create our wealth, but we're also simultaneously not sacrificing the infinite amount of abundance and wealth that we are capable of creating, especially in this modern age where we can use the internet to automate things, to reach millions of people, right? We have so much at our fingertips. And so we'll get into a bit of both today. And I also, little over a year ago, started my digital marketing agency, and we focus on helping online business owners really stand out online. But one of our big goals is to create this sense of authenticity and relationship through the online space. So Heather, I'd love to connect with you outside of this. We are more focused on that organic marketing, and just creating content that really connects people heart to heart, human to human, because as I'm sure so many of you know, being service-based, this is what people really want. They want to buy from people. They want to know you. They want to feel that there is a connection, and they want to trust you and feel safe with you. And this is one of the ways that people actually commit to buying from you, right? It's not just, hi, here's my niche. Here's what, if I were to put myself in a box, you would get if I delivered myself to you, right? But it's really the full spectrum of who you are as a human and a business owner that gets to be why people buy from you. And with all of my experience online, I've worked with multi-6 and 7-figure online business owners. I will say that this is what really is the piece that gets people to be like, out of all the noise, that's who I'm choosing. And I will choose them over and over again. And I will be so satisfied. And we have a lifelong relationship, and I'll buy anything that they put out. Does that resonate with y'all? Does that feel good? I feel like, oh, thank God. I thought this was going to be really boring. I was so worried she was just gonna pull up a spreadsheet or something, or tell me to niche down, and there's nothing wrong with niching, but I think that there's a lot of nuance in it that we can invite into that conversation. So I also want to say that. So I want to invite y'all to go into the chat box. And, one of the intentions with our conversation today is we're going into this season where people are buying a lot of things, right? They're doing their Christmas shopping, they're investing in things that can be tax write-offs for next year. They are, buying things for other people, and then they go into the treat yourself mode. Anybody else totally guilty of that? Every time I buy a gift, I'm like, what about me? Right. So what is something that you as a business owner, like what's front of mind? What feels like a challenge at this point in time as we go into this season? Safe to say we all want to be one of those purchases. Right? But what's something for you that might feel like a block? Getting other business owners to spend money on themselves. What else? Don't think too hard about it. There's no right or wrong. Making myself more visible, telling enough people that I have an offer. Lots of competition in my area. Hard time prioritizing my business when there are social obligations. Visibility and offers. All of the above. Just take all of these. Check, check, check. All of these, really. Yeah, just you can throw multiple things in there. You can keep going, like keep the conversation going. I'm also curious, as you put these out there into the chat box, do you notice that there's probably a couple layers for you? Like you just put out this one sentence, getting other business owners to spend money, making myself more visible, telling enough people that I have the offer. Like, Helen, I'm going to pick yours. Telling enough people that I have the offer. Is there a couple layers there for you? Like, how do I do that? Am I going to burn myself out doing that? Am I going to be annoying doing that? Like, right? There's a couple of other things that come up. It's not just that. That's kind of like the surface level, right? And I want to encourage y'all to go deep today and to dig a bit, right? Because the more that you give me to work with, the more that we can resolve these things and find something that feels really good for you, that's going to also feel easeful for you. My theory is that there's always a path of least resistance when it comes to marketing and selling your business. And so if you're looking at your strategy for the next couple of months and it feels overcomplicated and you feel, right, we can pull in some somatics. If you feel like your body's like, ugh, anyone feel a little like crunchy? If you do, it's okay. Just means it might be a little overcomplicated and we can simplify it and you can get way more results actually if your body feels expanded in this and you feel energized in it. Because the reality is that now you're teaching yourself that it's easy to go into this season and feel good doing what you do the way you do it. And it'll be easier to sell in that way. So, oh, and we have a few more. Reaching out locally and sharing about my offer. I'm okay doing it online, yet embarrassed to do it in person. My additional layers, do I have to do more social? Ugh, feels gross. Can I just build my business on referrals, which would be more ideal? A layer for me is feeling the defeatism with it feeling like there will be a lot of effort involved with no results because so many offers are out there. I feel that I don't know enough to know the right things to do to get is covering that to get me the results I want. So I want to talk about a couple of things as we chat about one, what your current circumstances are and what you get to leverage. Like my approach to marketing and selling is that there's already a foundation that you've created because you exist, right? You have relationships, you have different resources, you have a presence on social media, or you have a presence in the community. So what feels really easy for you to already leverage? And one of the reasons Clarissa and I spoke about doing this was because you all have each other. So don't forget that you can plug into this community and that you can leverage this community as well. So that might mean that your offer could coincide with somebody else in the group and amplify the results for the client. And maybe that's a special offer that you just do around this time of year, which then, of course, creates incentive. And it might feel easier for you, right? It might feel more creative. It might feel more fun. You're like, oh, I already vibe with this person. It would be so fun to create with them. I know that we work well together and we have the same ideal client. Right? So if you have ideas like that going off in your head, maybe you even direct message that person while we're on the call today and just get the conversation started. I encourage you to take the pressure off of, well, Black Friday's next week, so I need to do something next week. Personally, I think it's important to ask yourself if you resonate with Black Friday at all. It might not be in your value system, right? You might not even know anything about the history of it, and that's, totally fine. But I think personally, it's important for us as business owners to be mindful of what we are associating ourselves with. And I'm not saying Black Friday is good or bad or right or wrong, but get curious, right? Don't just do something mindless because the masses are doing it, because that's the first way you're going to wind up fitting in and not standing out. So the concern of there's so much noise, how am I going to get more visibility while everyone else is trying to get visibility? This is the first way you wind up dropping your visibility and dropping the magnetism that's innate to you, right? So find what it is that you resonate with, take the pressure off of a timeline or what everyone else is doing, and find something that really resonates for you and really resonates for your ideal client. What right now is their problem? Because you have this overall problem that you solve, right? Your goal as an entrepreneur is to be the solution to people's problems. Right now, they're thinking about that problem differently, right? So create that time sensitivity and that awareness. For me, we're closing out the year. So specifically for my marketing business, one of the ways that I shift my messaging around this time of year is that people are thinking, well, how am I going to, sell things in the beginning of the new year? How am I going to do that, right? They're thinking about it more specific to this time of year. So if you can create something or shift your messaging right now to speak to what's alive for them, what's front of mind for them, what they're going to sleep thinking about, like, I wish there wasn't so much noise. Black Friday is just like this annoying thing and everybody wants to sell. And like, how do I stand out? Right? If that's what they're falling asleep thinking about, talk about that. Right? Meet them where they're at to make it easy on them so that it's an easy yes for them. And this piece of, okay, well, what if there's all this noise out there and there's all these people doing this thing? How do I stand out? Don't forget that you are your greatest asset. Don't forget that people want to buy from you. You are a solo entrepreneur and people are seeing your face when you open the metaphorical or literal door to your business, right? They are seeing you and they want to resonate with you, right? There's there's this Nike commercial that I forget exactly how it goes, but it's about women. And it's about how when we might get angry on the court, people think we're crazy. And when we work really hard, people think we're crazy. And when we do this, right, it's that double standard. And they go, let people think you're crazy. Just do it, because those are the women who are changing the game. Those are the women who are changing the world. And I guarantee you the reason that they spent all this money on that commercial rather than a commercial about their shoes is because they know that there's an emotional connection that people develop through your marketing. And that's what leads to actual, loyal customers, we'll call them, right? That leads to people being like, yeah, Nike, I mean, there are cheaper shoes, there are better shoes, there's more expensive shoes, but Nike's commercial really resonated with me. And I literally just take my money because I want to support you because you actually care about the things I care about, right? So how can you also turn up the volume on who you are and what you care about that makes you different and unique, but also is what your client cares about, right? So don't jump into the noise of the reason you should buy from me right now is because I'm discounting this offer for Black Friday like everybody else out there. There are so many better reasons why people can buy from me right now. If you want to have some fun, write in the chat box some of those reasons. Like, what are some of the, and maybe you've even seen it with your clients. I posted a reel that had nothing to do with my work. Not that long ago. And it went completely like viral compared to my normal content. And somebody said to me, don't you wish that would happen with your content when you're selling? And I was like, no, I'm not worried about it. Because even though it had nothing to do with business and marketing and all of the, hey, here's what I deliver, it had to do with who I am and what I stand for. And without pitching my work at all, it led to people messaging me and saying, I've been eyeing your stuff for a while, but I'm really interested in what you do because I just really resonated in the way that you spoke about this situation and what you're going through. It was a completely vulnerable, like, here's what's happening in my life and here's how I'm choosing to see it. Right. But it's that emotional piece of this is something that not every business coach is willing to talk about. So share something in the chat that maybe even feels like an edge for you right now, or something that feels so out of left field, right? You've probably been promoting your content, like raise your hand. You've probably been promoting your work and letting everyone know what you do, how you do it, and why they should buy from you. Has everybody pretty much been doing that? Cool. Okay. So maybe that's the edge for you, Nicole. But if you've already been doing that, what's the harm in letting them know what makes you unique and what's special about the way that you lead specifically? Your values, what you stand for, something that's relatable. Little stomach flip. Did it feel like an exciting flip or like, oh no? There's excitement because of the possibilities that are opened up. Cool. Is this not what you were expecting to hear today? Cool.
I love it. I'm just formulating my words.
Cool.
trying to think of what my edge is.
Well, that was my goal in helping you stand out. Is that I'm not telling you what everyone else is telling you to do. And also I share this from the space of I am absolutely an expert in making sales online. And I have seen so many different iterations of the online space and marketing in general, right? Just think about Nike's commercials, right? When Nike first started making commercials, they were talking about how they make the best running shoe in the world and how their product is the best out there. And now it's more of that emotional connection because people are buying for different reasons. And so if you want to blend in, make content that's similar to Nike's commercials from 10 years ago. If you want to stand out and you want to connect with, I call them soul-aligned clients, like your dream clients that you are so lit up to work with that you go into session and you're like, okay, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see them. And you can't stop smiling. And then after the session, you're like, I feel so energized. Have you guys had clients like this previously? And then the latter is like the client that you're like, all right, 3 minutes to go time. Right? Those soul line clients, those dream clients, there is a much deeper connection there. So I encourage you to take your marketing deeper, right? And take yourself deeper, right? Ask higher quality questions about what you're trying to do right now. So if you look at your marketing strategy for the next couple of weeks or couple of months as we go into the holiday season, and it gives you that somatic feeling of like, I'm like crunching over and I don't feel good and I don't feel excited, ask yourself, what would feel really good to do? What would feel exciting? What would make me feel alive? And I forget who said it earlier, but about that, like, I don't want to market on social media piece. I'm curious if you ask yourself this question, if any of that even changes for you, right? Or if that sparks some ideas for your in-person connections and the ways that you're building community in person, right? Because that might mean that you put together different events. That might mean that you create a new turn on event or lead generator that you're like, oh, this feels so exciting to talk about, right? It's not that same overdone thing that business coach from 5 years ago told me to do. Nicole wrote, my edge would probably be more out about my experiences in indigenous communities, seemingly far out to Western minds, working with amphibian and plant medicines in ceremonial contexts, traveling the world and studying with esoteric teachers, working with energy and being guided by spirit. All the woo woo and ancient stuff I believe in fully. It's edgy for me. Yeah, why are you not talking about that already? Is like, and I'm not saying that from like, what are you doing? But I mean, like, I want to hear you talk about that. Right? Because it's also your embodiment of the work that you're encouraging people to do.
Yes, thank you for that.
Mm.
I'm getting there, but it's still an edge.
And coming back to the piece that y'all have this incredible community here, maybe there's accountability, right? Maybe there's a check-in, or maybe there's a post that you do in a couple of days or like right after this, and you share it with the group and you just say, oh my gosh, I did it, right? And you let yourself be witnessed and you let yourself be held. Mm-hmm. Yes, our embodiment of the work we encourage our clients to do. Most of you probably do this work because at some point in your life, you needed it. And so you understand how significant this work is. And that right there is a relatability piece where people, aka your dream clients, get to see themselves in you. And if they can see themselves in you and they can see all that you've done, it doesn't mean you need to be perfectly healed and you need to be all the way at the end of the path and you need to have the multi-million-dollar business doing ads and strategy and all of that. It just means that you're on the path with them and you're a bit further along than them, but you're showing them that you're still doing the work and you're embodying it. And you're also coming up against different edges and different expressions of that growth. And that gets to be a beautiful thing. In marketing, we talk about the know, like, trust factor. When you see people out there doing work that you love, or somebody that you're like, okay, maybe there's somebody already in your field that you're like, take my money over and over. I'm a loyal customer. I will be back over and over again. And if you have that person, I'm really happy for you, because I think that they get to be an expander for you in that sense. And you get to look at them and say, what is it beyond their skill set? Right? They don't have the best running shoe on the planet. Irrational loyalty. I love that, Ashley. Yeah. And I kind of love this word of irrational. I think, the synonym for me is like illogical. And something that I love to play in is the concept of illogical growth, illogical expansion. Right? If we think logically, we can only get logical results. If we make a strategy from, well, I want to 2x my business, I can figure out how to 2x my business very easily. Bye, Rachel. Thanks for being here. I can figure out how to work twice as hard. I can figure out how to work twice as many hours. I can figure out how to have twice as many clients. But if I think about 10x growth, which may seem illogical and irrational to people, now I'm starting to think very differently. Now I'm not the solo entrepreneur just chucking along and hustling and doing what I have to do, but I'm starting to think like the version of myself that's doing what she gets to do and loves to do and has clients who come out of nowhere and has, much better back end systems, right? 10x the amount of clients is going to require me to clean up the back end of my business right now and get better onboarding systems for my marketing company, which I am doing these things. I am embodying it. I'm not just saying this stuff to y'all and then being like, right? But it asks me to think differently and it asks me to show up differently and it asks me to build for the long term, not just for the next 2 months and the next bit of the holiday season, right? So another piece that I want to encourage you to think about is the long term. What's going to create sustainability for your business? What's going to allow those clients to come in and be like, I'm sticking around long term and actually have somewhere to go? Right? So you might just be thinking, well, Black Friday is coming up. I should, do a discount on this thing, or like one-time offers, and people are buying so many things right now. Like, how do I get them to buy this? Stop thinking so logically about it, right? We need the logic in a number of different ways, right? We need to hold ourselves accountable. We need to do the work. We need to do a lot of different things that are logical. But when you are creating the strategy, I want you to think a little bit more outside of the box and a little bit beyond that, not just, okay, this next week, right? But how does this week then lead to the week after? How does that compound your growth, right? If you are thinking about selling something for Black Friday or for the holidays, how does it build the trust, build the loyalty, build the relationship so that then they upgrade to a longer term package? Or how do you put things in place? Somebody mentioned earlier of like referrals. How do you do something now that builds more referrals for you? Right? Get creative in your marketing in this way. There's no one type of strategy that works for every single person. Every strategy is literally just a piece of art that somebody came up with. So let your marketing be your art. Okay, so I want to open up the space for us to have more of a co-created conversation. I am catching up on the chat box. Kim said, I feel like I'm already showing up as me, but this idea of creating a model that is sustainable makes my wheels turn. Yeah, strategy as art. That's going to be a quote card on my social media soon, I think. How do you balance the cost of implementing some of the things when you don't have the business to back it up just yet? I'd love to hear a little bit more. I'd love to hear you like expand on that question, Kim. Like, give me the examples, give me the whole situation.
So say you want to like invest in a service that helps you create like a good customer database so that you can cross-reference and send out birthdays and all that other stuff, but your business right now is not making enough money to justify you spending $500 a month on some service that's going to help you in the future. How do you know when you should pull the trigger on something like that, knowing that that's the direction you want to go, but it's just not, it's just not there right now?
Mm-hmm. I'm a 50-50 person when it comes to making decisions like that, in the sense of like 50%, here's the logic. I've tracked my finances for the last number of months. Here's what we've averaged. Here's where we've been in the green. Here's where we've been in the red. Like, would this put us in the red? Would this put us, would we still be in the green? And also this piece of like, how I want to ask the question of like, how does it activate you? Like, does it activate you or does it kind of shut you down? Right? Because I feel like this journey of being entrepreneurial requires us to take leaps. And some of those leaps are the illogical leaps. And then the gaps fill themselves in, right? It's such a journey of building trust in yourself, saying, I know when my intuition is speaking to me, and I know when I feel safe to make that move to invest, in a mentor or in a service or in a program or whatever that's going to bring me forward. And it's also going to stretch you, right? So oftentimes when we are growing as entrepreneurs, we're not just walking forward, we're being like stretched forward, and it does feel uncomfortable. But there's a balance between being stretched forward and being like, oh, it's out of my comfort zone, versus like, I'm gonna throw up, my nervous system is getting rocked by this, it's too much for me, it's not a go in my body yet. And I also feel that when it comes to things like that, when your business is small, there's a number of things that you can do manually or that you can do at a very low cost. That's also going to, I mentioned the word like compound earlier, like it's going to compound with the growth of things. And so, for example, in my business and the marketing agency that I opened last year, one of these things was the SOPs, the trainings, like all of those things. I've built a team to do the deliverables for clients. And so I wanted to focus on training the team and pouring my money into the business in that way, before I was like, okay, now let's get all these shiny, cool things that I want for the business so that it's like perfectly polished and it's not even exactly how I want to like phrase it, but I'm hoping that you're getting what I mean as I give the example. So I had documents, just Google documents that we created, Google Drive folders, and then okay, awesome. And then I hired an OBM that specialized in a project management system. And she's like $100 an hour. And she sets up this project management system that doesn't cost a lot for the actual project management system every month. But I knew I wanted somebody who was an expert in it, that was going to understand my whole business, and that I was going to hash out different things on the back end and how I work with the team, how the team works with clients, before I started being like, okay, take all my money, and then maybe we have to do double the work down the line because I'm learning still and figuring these things out, right? So it's figuring out in ways like, what's the priority? What's actually going to move the needle forward? Like, is sending an automated email saying happy birthday going to send the needle forward? Or can you maybe do that manually in a way that feels good and resonates for you right now? There's nothing wrong if you do it, scrappy at first, right? It also can be a way for you to learn and refine and refine and refine before you choose the perfect system and the perfect investment for you. And again, I'm not saying that from the expectation that you'll get one day to this place where you're like, this is the perfect investment. I feel so confident and so ready, like, duh. It's going to feel stretchy. It's just finding that balance of, is this stretchy or is this shutting me down? And I think that's a great question, Kim, because I think that can be applied for so many different things that we do as entrepreneurs. So thank you for asking that. Does that spark any questions or thoughts for anyone else that you'd like to share? I'm being mindful, got what, like 10 minutes left. So yeah, I'd love to hear what's come up for you, what questions you have, or anything in specific that you'd like from me before we close out. I feel like I need a marketing 101 course recommendation. I have an online business school. I think it's a great marketing program as well as a leadership program. So shameless plug. But additionally, I know that there's a marketing program that one of my clients bought recently that was gosh, what is it? I'm sure somebody here knows it. It's the course that you can buy and then you can also sell it. What is it, like Journey to something? She said she really liked it.
You can just let me know later and then I can post it to our Facebook group.
Yeah, for sure. It'll come to me. But I haven't taken it myself, so I feel a little like, sharing it. But my client is, we've worked together a long time and she is very good at marketing, and she's like, oh, this was like a good, refresh on a lot of like the basics. So I'll ask her for it and send it over to Clarissa. And then my information, my favorite place to connect, because I think it's like a personal and really nice place to connect with people, is Instagram. And I'm going to put it in the chat. I'm Katelyn Ann Marie on Instagram, and you could just send me a message and be like, hi, how are you? Or say whatever you want. Send me a GIF or a GIF or however you pronounce it. Or a picture of your fur baby. I don't know. Send me whatever you want. No feet pics.
Caitlin, so I am constantly impressed with the way that you go about marketing business. It just feels as if there's just trust in outcomes and tuning in to your intuition and then acting accordingly, and a general sense of just openness. And so I was just wondering if there are some tips you can give us, like energetically, in order to embody this, because I think when it comes to marketing, which a lot of us, like the wellpreneurs. I mean, it's never been like my favorite thing. And I think for a lot of people, like what that work in this area, what they love is the client interfacing, right? To kind of release that concept or that feeling when it comes to marketing.
Yeah. I love that question. I do a lot of social media marketing. And so I think this fits really well for that specifically, but I also think it fits great for any marketing because, again, people want to buy from people. They want to feel like they know you, they like you, they trust you. They want to have like a love for you, and they want to be a part of something, right? So I feel like there's a couple of things when it comes to that. One is like, what is the depth of your vision? And over time you deepen into your work, is how I like to think about it. You deepen into your skill sets, you deepen into your reason for doing this. And I highly recommend letting that shine through. For me, I love to help people that help people. So being connected to people is one of the ways that I get to help them. But I also feel that it's important to keep in mind that social media has the word social in it, right? It's meant to be a social interaction. It's meant to be a relationship. And so rather than overthinking your marketing and, trying to be so rigid with it, there are certain pillars, of course, that you should be like using to create brand awareness and an understanding of your methodology and what you do and how you do it. And simultaneously, there is a relationship that should be building as you do that, right? So see how you can build that relationship. And then on an energetic standpoint, I think learning to expand your energy body is really big. Learning to clear out any of the noise that's maybe not yours or not fitting with the version of you that you see yourself becoming. And one of my favorite ways of moving things is energy work, but also EFT has been something that's been really big for me and a lot of my clients. So we do EFT for fear of being seen, fear of what people will think, fear of being judged, fear of being wrong, fear of people seeing you fail. Like, find the thing that keeps you from unleashing your voice and speaking the truth of why you do what you do and why you're so fucking passionate about it that you cannot be stopped. And this isn't something that you've got plan A, plan B, plan C. This is something that it's plan A and it's inevitable and it's going to work and it's amazing. Like, find what gets you going, because people will get in the room with you simply just from that standpoint of understanding why it is you do what you do and how you do it and why you do it the way you do it, right? That's right there, in my opinion, enough, right? When they can feel you and they can feel the depth of it, that's enough for a lot of people, right? And then when you notice like, oh, I have something amazing to say, but listen to what comes after that. I want to do this, but listen to what comes after that. Don't judge it. Don't make it wrong. Don't be like, go away, right? Like, find a way to work with it, and not in the sense of like accepting it and being like, well, I should just not do the thing, but work with it, listen to what's underneath it, and then shift it. Do EFT, do hypnotherapy, right? Do whatever it is. Do Cambo or, whatever medicine you're doing over there, Nicole, right? Embody your own medicine to shift it. One last thing I'll say on that is, this probably sounds really biased, but I don't think marketing is actually very hard. I didn't go to school for marketing. I just got really passionate about something. And then I met a mentor who was like, you need to be a marketer. And then I learned marketing. Right. And that's a whole other story. I think marketing is hard because we make it hard and we think it has to be hard or it has to be complicated, right? But all of you love what you're doing enough to devote your entire life to it, enough to take leaps to do it. You can be amazing at marketing. It's not that you're going to go off and start a marketing agency. Yeah, Maria's gonna do an EFT session for everyone. Heck yeah. Mm. Ooh, we love the buzz. We love that energetic buzz. Nicole, I also organize networking groups in Denver once a month. The next one's December 13th at Nurture on Federal Boulevard. So you should definitely come.
Amazing. I'm writing it down.
And then find me on Instagram, send me a message if you just want to like connect, all of you, like you just want to connect. If you want to know more about what I do, awesome. But also if you just want to say, you know, hey, this is what I got from the talk and this is what I'm taking with me, I'd love to hear that. Oh, thank you, Clarissa. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I hope you all got so much out of this, and I would love to connect with all of you. Ashley, I'm so curious about what you do as well. And yeah, you know, we're powerful women going out into the world doing incredible stuff. Like you have a beautiful group here, and I hope that you lean into it. And whether it's holding each other accountable or it's co-creating something beautiful for this season, amazing. Thank you so much for having me, Clarissa. And yeah.
It was so wonderful. Thank you, Katelyn. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you too. So good meeting you all.
Bye, everybody.